And I say this a lot, and since Prince Harry's in the news a lot, I'm going to tell you, Prince Harry was living that same way. He was living in a life where he was just surviving. He was handed that life by default, even though we all wished we lived in a life like that, royalty in the palaces and all that, but he didn't choose it. And whether or not we agree that he should have left his duty in the royal family, whether or not we agree that Meghan Markle is, whatever you want to call her. My focus on this topic is about Prince Harry, because Prince Harry was really much handed this life by default. And that's why I always tell all my clients, you need to live with purpose. Because like it or not, Harry chose to leave this life that he was given by default and live with purpose. And that's what I tell all of you. You need to find a purpose in your life and not listen to what everybody else has to say, because when you let somebody else define you, you're giving away your freedom to live your life the way you want it. And remember, you can live your life any way you want it, as long as you're not hurting other people and you're not hurting yourself.
For us to learn. This is a core lesson explained to you 5 ways you can tell the difference between the dark night of the soul and depression.
Sometimes we just want to hear somebody else fucking say it. Does it come with these amazing things? Yes, of course. But is it the hardest thing I could have ever done in my entire life? Yes.
A big thank you to Laura from Soulful Taz. She inspired me on my journey of spiritual awakening, and she has kindly given her permission to use some of her content here in this video so she can help you, too, on your own journey. Laura, I found when I was going through the Dark Night, and I found her to be one of the best people to explain what the Dark Night felt like ever on YouTube. Like, she's just so raw and real. Like, I love her channel. I recommend you check out her channel right here on YouTube, tagged below in the description. Thank you to my key supporters who receive exclusive content on Patreon, as well as keep this channel going. Anna, KB Rocks, Kelly, Sunil, Julie, Stu, 18, Soups on Me, Gail, Cindy, Tina, Tori, John, Lisa, Holly, Christy, Caitlin, Big Feet 30, and GMAC. If you want to receive exclusive content and one-on-one sessions with me, just head on over to patreon.com/thekey, the C-A-Y. The first way to tell the difference between the dark night of the soul and depression are to understand what they are.
And that was a way of limiting myself, was not allowing myself to trust and have faith in a process that I could not see.
Depression, especially clinical depression, are all medical conditions. They need to be supported by medical professionals such as psychologists, psychiatrists, and general doctors. Depression can be situational, or it could be caused by a chemical imbalance in your brain. No one should ever blame themselves for having depression or put pressure on somebody else to just snap out of it if they are depressed. Would you ask this of somebody with another medical condition? The dark night of the soul is not a medical condition. It is a state of being.
And everybody who knew I was kind of getting dark and sick thought that, this was a medical condition or something like that, and so I wasn't really brave enough to say no, this is a process of something that you've never heard of before, but I'm confident in what it is. And I wasn't able to do that. I still wanted to kind of be normal with something that is going to break your foundation and scatter the pieces of who you are and not leave you normal at all.
When in the dark night, a person's soul is not dark, nor is it dying. It is the ego that is dying. Well, actually the ego never dies either. It's just taking a back seat. The ego does not like this and usually causes a person a lot of anxiety, and then they lash out at others in order to remain feeling that things were done to this person as a victim, rather than remembering that nothing happens to us, it happens for us to learn. This is a core lesson that people going through a spiritual awakening are aware of.
I say this repeatedly.
that nothing happens to us, it happens for us. I remember the exact moment when I realized, holy shit, this isn't happening to me, this is happening for me. It happened at the Hershey Arena skating rink. I started to walk away and the board president's like, you need to give me that badge back right now. And I looked at her and I was like, I can't, I need to get back there to him. And I went to go sit down and she came right in front of me and she goes, give me that badge back now. And I sat there and I thought, my God, my patterns were right. Wow. Like, this really showed me, this happened for me. Which brings us to number 2. What is the catalyst for the dark night of the soul versus depression?
Some call it divine feminine energy, but ultimately all of this boils down to dormant evolutionary energy. And this lays dormant at the bottom of your spine, many times through trauma, drugs, psychedelics is a big one, just being ripe at the time, meditation, yoga, being a part of just a spiritual awakening wave that hits the planet. There's many, many ways this can awaken.
For me, it came after I had a major, I want to say breakthrough, but it was really a breakdown of, relationships. And it really came after me continually refusing to realize that I was creating my life in this negative way. When I went into my dark night was exactly when I realized I had lost almost everybody. And if I hadn't faced it and decided that I was going to not be that way anymore, I would have lost every single person because I was so negative about everything. And I didn't even realize it was a pattern of mine, but it was part of my karmic patterns to be negative. So when I refused to be like that, I completely ignored anything negative, anything. And I was just like this. I didn't know how to be positive. I didn't know, like when people say, baby learning to walk, that's how it felt for me, learning how to be positive, learning how to take the steps towards getting out of the dark night. I felt very much like I was stuck in cement. I didn't know what to do. So I just decided one day that I was going to do nothing. I was going to sit there in that cement until I found a positive way to get out of it. Because if I would start negatively talking to myself like I would normally do, that wasn't going to get me out of it either. So I just decided I'm just going to stay here until I figure it out.
The dark night of the soul is a result of a person having gone through a spiritual awakening and is right in the middle of it. If you're only recently becoming aware of a spiritual awakening or you've not gone far into the process, this is not the dark night. Depression is a major issue with most people who are looking to go into a spiritual awakening because you're not happy with your life and you'd like to change it. Most people who go into a spiritual awakening have some level of depression that they are experiencing. So with that said, if you start off your awakening with the depression does not automatically turn into the dark night. First, the depression has to lift, and then your soul will know the right time to put you into the dark night. Number 3. What does a dark night feel like?
Oh, it is a gruesome process. So much coming up, so much healing, so much just like I thought, everyone said in the fall it was going to be great changes, and there were. It was just one of those things where you're like, oh, those kind of changes. Okay. I'm sure you're tired of hearing that it's just going to get better, it's never going to be like this, but when you are in it, it doesn't feel that way. That all went away. I started losing interest in absolutely every single thing that I loved. My genuine persona, my personality, all of that stopped happening.
When I was in the dark night, I very much didn't know who I was. I very much didn't like who I used to be. And I realized something I had never realized. Inside of me, for the last almost 40 years, were 2 things: anger and apathy. I didn't have anything else. I didn't know how to be happy. I didn't understand how to stay positive in situations that sucked. I know that I have things I need and I want to get done, and it feels like a prison sentence. I don't want to be inadequate. I could be great at so many things, but my excuses are my limitation. I limit myself and I'm angry at myself. So there you go. I'm at war with myself.
In a depression, there is a level of internal pain that is almost unbearable. The question in a person's head who has depression is usually, what is wrong with me? Or why do people treat me so bad? Or why is my life so miserable? In the dark night, the only questions that exist are, who am I and who do I want to be?
Being in that void, the egoless void where you were once a person called Laura and then you are seriously nothing. I remember sitting on a chair and being like this. I was staring at a wall and no thoughts were arising. There was literally nothing. I mean, when I heard the term void, I was like, that's what happened to me. That's where I was.
When Laura says that you're not interested in anything, she's absolutely right. Even though I did a lot of stuff, like I moved around like a shell, like my daughter had to go to skating and, my sons had sports and, it wasn't me. It was just my body moving.
In a depression, a person walks around. Sometimes they can't even get out of bed, but it's all clouded in a gray filter. There are no bold colors or bright sunlight. It's all just one monotone color of gray. The same can be said for feelings. Other than deep sadness and maybe anger, there's no other emotion. In contrast to depression, in the dark night, there is no emotion. When I first entered the dark night, I described it as sitting on a motionless lake in a small boat during the night with no oars. I was just there. I called it a void. I was waiting to get through my void in order to come out the other side.
The biggest thing though is I realized that void was not something I was in. The void was inside of me. I was void of everything at that point.
A person loses all sense of who they were to the point that at times they hear their own name and don't recognize it. It is much like walking around as a shell or a paper cutout person. There's not sadness, there's not joy, there's no apathy, there is nothing. I would say that I felt so empty that you could drop a dime inside of me and you could listen as it falls through the emptiness and then hits the bottom. Number 4, what is the treatment for the dark night?
It really was kind of going into unraveling every part of who I was and then the void and then slowly rebuilding, right? So poof, you awaken and then you kind of get into the dark and mucky business. But it's crucial because the person that I was built on wasn't really me. It wasn't like truly in alignment with my higher self. And so what needs to happen is it all needs to just kind of rip away, right?
And Laura is very right when she says it's just stripping. Strip everything away from yourself. Everything that you know about yourself is gone. Holly sent me a book, Louise Hay's Heal Your Body. I took Louise Hay's affirmations and recorded them on my phone. So I actually didn't have to do much to make this process move forward. I would listen to this tape repeatedly. And it's literally just me saying affirmations 3 times in a row on loop. That got me through every day, reminding myself that the universe loves me. I am letting go of other people's ideas of how I should be living my life. I'm free. Why did I keep journals? I was told during one of my downloads that I needed to keep records of everything I was going through, and I would find out why later. I now know why. It's to help all of you going through your own spiritual awakenings. Then I started to meditate pretty much every day, all day, because I didn't want to do anything else. And luckily this all happened during the global pandemic that we were going through. So I really had no place to go. So meditation was it for me. This was a download that came through during one of my meditations. They said to me, write about how you live every day and face the daily life with a newly positive outlook. Tell them the steps taken, the setbacks, all of the dreams. We're giving you those dreams as a roadmap to where you are. Those dreams I had during the dark night were so specific and so pointed to one issue or another, and it was pointing me to specific kinds of karmic patterns that I needed to release in order to move through the dark night.
The treatment for the dark night is to simply go within. And that means a huge amount of self-reflection without blame or talking to other people about how you feel. Going within,
simply means that you are with yourself, reflecting on your choices, actions, words, and feelings. The person has stripped away most of what makes up their ego, their false self. This must include time to reflect upon choices, actions, words, feelings that the person did themselves that caused them major negative events in their lives. This reflection would take place without blaming others or excusing the action. The person would have to come to terms with the fact that they created their own life and they are the cause for the negative state it is in. Any form of blame or excuse prevents this person from moving forward in the spiritual awakening process. The realization that life is what you make of it is faced with absolutely no blame. That is when everything is stripped away.
Realization is that you are the one completely limiting yourself. Like nobody is telling you, like nobody is rejecting you for who you really are. Nobody is really saying that you need to be a certain way in society. You come into the realization that this is all you, and this is an unfolding process. It's really baby steps with each like small thing that's happening.
Number 5, feeling stuck versus feeling pushed down. In the dark night of the soul, or as I like to call it, the dark night of the ego is said to be dying. Really, it's just being greatly diminished, and that gives a person a feeling stuck.
I remember going to bed one night, and at this time, because everything was being stripped away, and I remember just thinking, what the fuck is happening to my higher self? And I got a direct voice in my head that said, you are dying. There was a part of me that knew that it was ego death, and this is how innocent this was. I was actually Googling it. I was like, dying? Ego death? I had no knowledge on the subject. And
You feeling, questioning who you are. I mean, Laura said it, like this person named Laura. There was a couple days where I didn't even know who Stacy was. I felt very much like I was stuck in cement. I didn't know what to do. I can't do this anymore. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to be the person I want to be because I just don't know how. I was in the cement. I didn't know what to do. So I just decided one day that I was going to do nothing. I was going to sit there in that cement until I found a positive way to get out of it. As stated, the only way to get through this process of the dark night of the soul is to go within and evaluate your life choices and your life circumstances without any judgment or blame to self or others. Whereas depression feels like you're being held down or held back by outside forces. This was the largest difference for me in knowing what the difference between the dark night and depression is. I felt no level of despair whatsoever in my dark night of the soul. However, when I was depressed, and I had been depressed for a very long time before this, there was always an element of despair, hopelessness, sadness, anger. I always had those feelings. But when I went through my spiritual awakening and then entered into the dark night, it was just nothing. And although I was a bit uncomfortable at first, I decided nothing was better than feeling angry and sad all the time. The dark night of the soul forces you to go within and reflect on yourself and your choices, whereas depression requires that you get outside help. The reason for needing outside help with depression is because the risk of suicidal tendencies is there. In contrast, the dark night of the soul, there is no risk of suicide because you know you are valuable and you know you are loved. You know the only way to get through the dark night is reflect on yourself within without outside help that might enable you in a victimhood state. And I was in this situation with my kids' school where it was very much stressing me, and I was very much trying not to react because any reaction I had to this was not a good one. So the day it all changed was when I had gone in to take a shower, and I talk to my guides a lot in the shower. It has something to do with the water. So I put my hands up and I just said, okay, guides, I am giving you complete control of my life at this point. I'm ignoring my ego and my false self. I'm going to release every pattern, and I'm not going to resist anything you bring to me. I release all of it. And I was going down a list. All of a sudden, I said, I release, and I paused, and this word rage, and the word came out like rage. It wasn't even my voice. Rage. And it just kept coming out.
rage. And as it ended, it came up and I started coughing like this, actually. That's a really good example. Thank you, universe. That's exactly what happened. And I was standing in the shower, just coughing, coughing, coughing. All of this energy came up out of me and I coughed it out. I stood there for a minute because it was like so much negative energy came up off of me that I felt like I was standing in that shower 3 feet off the ground. And I'm not even joking. It was euphoric. I just released something major. Now let's review. I had just told the universe I'm aligning with my soul's will. I had just said I would resist nothing. I gave them a list of things that I was concerned about, like my kids' school. Everything was just so stressful. I gave it up to the universe and I said, I'm going to resist nothing.
So 3 hours after I got out of the shower and I had just aligned with my soul's will, my husband comes to me and says, "What do you think about moving to the Caribbean? They have a school that's really good and the kids could go there and we would live the life we've always dreamed of." Ordinarily, my response would have been, "Are you fucking crazy?" Not only did he want to move countries, we were in the middle of a global pandemic, but I had just said to my guides, I would resist nothing. So I found myself going, "Well played, universe. Well played." And I said to my husband, "Sure, let's talk about it." Fast forward, now we're living in the Caribbean because the universe brought us here. People who are ready to go into the dark night know exactly what I'm talking about. If you are not understanding what I'm saying, then you are in a depression and not the dark night, because the universe, our spirit guides, and our soul does not allow us to go into the dark night until we understand fully our value in this world, our value in this universe, and the purpose of the dark night. Even if you don't understand the purpose on the conscious level, your soul knows what that is. And it's time to build yourself back up. And the way to do this is to not accept anything negative in your life, only positivity. It may take some time to get comfortable with positive feelings, but once you do, there is no turning back. Soul Awakening. I know you're busy, so I'm going to tell you about 3 books that changed the way I look at the world in 3 minutes. First, if you're new to this channel, make sure you tap that red subscribe button on your screen. I'm here to teach you how to find freedom in happiness. If you're looking for a book that dips your toes into the world of spirituality, this one is for you. Sylvia Browne is the well-known psychic that appeared many times in the Montel Williams and Larry King shows in the late 90s, early 2000s. Sylvia's book, The Other Side and Back, A Psychic's Guide to Our World and Beyond, is the book that is a gateway to living this life. It's a light read, packed with Sylvia's wit and depth of knowledge. She takes the reader on a journey through her life and explains the core basics of spirituality, such as there's no heaven or hell. There are different dimensions. Our souls are from a higher dimension, and we choose to live this one life in all of the lengthy span of our soul's existence on a lower dimension called Earth. Sylvia used to joke that this is hell. I can't say I disagree with her. Can you? Next up is Robert Schwartz and his book, Your Soul's Plan, and its follow-up, Your Soul's Gift. I kind of get them confused because they overlap, but they're both really good, so read them both. Full disclosure, the first chapter of the introduction of Your Soul's Plan on the audio version isn't great. I almost turned it off, but I powered through and I'm glad I did. The rest of the book was astonishing. Opening up the book, Schwartz tells the reader of a young woman in the 1960s who was getting at her mail in the basement of a university building when a mail bomb went off in her hand, nearly killing her. Schwartz recounts how the woman discovered that she planned the attack before she was born and held no ill will for taking place. Schwartz covers everything from miscarriage to age to sexuality to drug addiction to accidental deaths and the loss of a loved one, which were all planned, and more importantly, why. As a mom with 2 special needs kids, one story touched me deeply. It was the story of a mom with kids who have severe disabilities. She questioned, as I have many times, why I ended up with a life like this. In her session with Schwartz, she discovered that she not only planned her life, her children also planned to be with her.
Her daughter contracted to be with her younger son because the younger son needed her daughter's help to get through this earthly life. Yep, I was crying by the end of that chapter. I totally need to do a whole video about Dolores Cannon, and if you know who she is, you know why. Dolores Cannon is an icon in spirituality. She held no psychic gifts, no extra abilities, but her books are literal transcripts of sessions with clients. The first book I read by her was called The Convoluted Universe Part 1, Metaphysical Ideas Bordering on Quantum Physics. It's a long book, but it was one of the few books I read end to end in one session. About 8 hours, because I could not put it down. In this book, Cannon's sessions with clients center around past lives, different dimensions and the fact that they're all layered on top of one another, aliens, Atlantis and why it was destroyed, the golden rule that was given to us by different dimensions, elementals, yetis, how Tesla was given the information for electricity through a meditative download. There are so many more topics that made me reevaluate what I was taught growing up and change the way I looked at the world. Okay, so it went a little over 3 minutes, but it was totally worth it, right? There are so many more books that I could tell you about, and I will. So subscribe to my channel. Hit that red button at the bottom of your screen right now. It's quick and easy. Leave me a comment below if you've read any of these books or you plan to read them. Bye, guys! Did you know you created every single thing about your life before you were born on a document called a blueprint? On that document, you planned out every single aspect about your life. You planned your name, your parents, where you were born, your siblings, the relationships you'd enter into, and the challenges you would meet along the way. I'm Stacy, and I'm from the Key to Soul Awakening. I help people recreate their blueprints using astrology, numerology, and sacred geometry. In this video, I'm going to help you discover your own life path number and what that means for you. And although life paths and the specific situations that you meet along your life path are a bit more complicated than just one number, this is just the basics to get you started. If you're interested in scheduling an appointment with me, click the link in the banner above or in the description below. So how do you find your life path number? Use your date of birth, the month, the day, and the 4-digit year. Add those together down until they get to a single digit. For example, October 20th, 1978. October is the 10th month of the year, so that equals the number 10. So you have 10 plus 20 plus 1978. Add the 10 and the 20 down to single digits. The 10 goes to 1, the 20 goes to 2. So now your problem is 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 8. Adding all those together gets you to the number 10, and that goes down to a life path number 1. If your birth date adds up to the digits 11, 22, 33, or 44 before getting into a single digit, circle that number and then add down to the single digit. There's a separate video for these numbers, 11, 22, 33, or 44. Now take some time to use the process I just showed to figure out your life path number. Words to describe a master number 22 are ambitious, powerful, and authority. The master number 22 eventually turns into a 4, and a 4 represents a strong foundation, practicality, and honesty. 22 is even more so. 22 has the urge to build things in a big way. 22 also has the skills to build things in a big way. They may not have the ideas. Those ideas come from master number 11s. Number 22s will have the ability to take the ideas from an 11 and the resources to build the most radical, inspirational ideas that change our world. Examples of a master number 22 are Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey. If you are a master number 22, you have exactly the same amount of knowledge and power that Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey have. Master number 22 gives the promises of success. You know how to use your ability to create the masterpieces you envision. The master number 22 does not like staying settled for long periods. They have to be constantly busy. If they are bored or find themselves settled for long periods of time, they will flip into more of a negative area. Positive 22s are organized, practical, capable of being dynamic, great achievers, master architects, tireless workers, and design great accomplishments. When flipped into a negative state, 22s become aimless, somewhat fanatics of whatever they're focused on. Big talkers, not a lot of movement.
frustrated, bitter, jumpy, apathetic, angry, aloof, and moody. The lesson for a Master number 22 is to learn to take charge of large organizations or groups of people, to handle finances effectively and usefully to benefit the whole of the large groups of people. As said with Master number 11, a goal with Master 22 is to focus on the community and the large group of people, the good for all, and not the good for self. Knowing your life path number helps a person in knowing how they approach their life and how to approach challenges without having those challenges stop your life from moving forward. It is important to note that if you are not living in a positive way, your life path is flipped. That means it's reversed into a negative way, and the negative aspects of that life path number show up in your life. If your life path number turned out to be the number discussed here in this video, but it sounds nothing like you, then I must ask you, what happened in your life to change who you are? Sometimes people take on attributes of different life path numbers to avoid difficult, challenging situations, sort of like an ostrich sticking their head in the sand. If you'd like to make a session with me to discuss your life path and how you can live your highest and best life using the law of attraction and manifestation, use the link above in the banner or below in the description. If you want to know more about life paths, go ahead and click the playlist right next to me, the Life Path series, or you can click the single video, The Path to Happiness, which explains karmic patterns on our life paths. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you know every time I upload, and I go live several times a week just to answer questions from viewers.
Worker is someone whose sole purpose in this life is just to be. Hey, light workers! A light worker is someone whose sole purpose in this life is just to be light and love and kindness, so others on the planet can learn from them. If you're a subscriber or a follower of mine, or you just found me today and this looks interesting, you are a light worker. Hey, I'm Stacy, and I'm all about living with purpose. If you struggle in your life with that, I can help you. Every single day I help people find their highest and best life path, and I can do the same for you. In my day job, I work one-to-one with people to help clear their karma and move along their spiritual life paths. Many people are stuck, and maybe you are too, and don't know why. I'm also an Oxford-educated teacher. Besides that, I've been working as a psychic for 15 years, and I'd like to give a shout out to my father-in-law for showing me I can do this by talking to me after he passed away. That always makes me laugh because it is so much like him. To tell you a little more about my background, I'm an English teacher for an online extracurricular academy called outschool.com. A link for my classes is in the description, and we can also put that in the chat box. Just ask. I also take a select amount of clients to work with one-on-one to help them clear their karma and get back to their highest and best spiritual path. You can be any religion, and my guidance fits them all. My goal with all of my clients is to teach them to live with a positive attitude and not like a victim. When you master that, you will be living your highest and best life path. I'm going to explain how all of this works with this live stream in just a few minutes, but basically, you just need to subscribe and put your date of birth and your name in the chat box, and I will get to your reading. Now, are you ready to get started on your brand new life to find your highest and best life path? Now grab a snack and your favorite drink and call your friends, because they're all going to want to know how to do this too. You came on a very special day, because if you are not subscribed yet, I'm giving all my non-subscribers, if they subscribe right now, 75% off a session with me. And everybody has a chance to win a $100 mystery box filled with first edition The Key apparel and other spiritually based items, including a letter from me to you about where you are on your life path right now. Stick around to find out how you can win this mystery box. All right, we're about to get started. Are you ready?
Make sure you have your question ready and it's set up in the chat box, and you listen to the directions that are coming up right next. Second. All right. So as we all know, I have issues with the audio when we get started. So I'm going to go over here. And if you can tell me my secret phrase for today is apple. All you need to do is type it into the chat box so I know you can hear me. And then we will get started. Let me look over here. It really works a lot better when I have a few more monitors. It really does. Okay. I cannot find the... Hey Bob, can you hear me? Just put it in our questions box so I can continue. All right, so what I'm going to do today is a little bit different than I usually do. I'm going to assume, thank you, Bob. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do something a little different than I usually do. What I do usually is I can do questions, but we have a really important topic to talk about today. So I'm going to do two questions, two readings. I'm going to talk about a topic. I'm going to go back to 2 readings, and then I'm going to talk about the topic. And this is really important because for the next half an hour, Bob's going to take down the names of everybody who chats in the box. And you guys are going to be entered into a prize that is a $100 mystery box of spirituality that I just explained. You have to be here at the end of the live, which is going to be around 1 o'clock. So just be here by the end of the live. You could win a mystery box just for me with a letter inside talking about you and what the guides are telling me about you, along with a whole bunch of stuff like my key merch that is coming out very, very soon. I will make sure there's something in there for you. Also, if you are a new subscriber today, all you need to do is write subscribed in the chat box, and then you can make a booking. It's $25 to have a half an hour with me. It's usually $100. So I'm giving you 75% off to subscribe today. All right, so that's 2 big things we have going on today, which is our mystery box, and also, this is why it distracts me, because I can't do this. Okay, this is the mystery box and the new subscriber, $25 to talk to me in a half an hour, just to have a reading and talk about where you are in life. I think it's a pretty good deal. So make sure you hit subscribe in my subscribe button, and then you write it in the chat box, and you can book, because when you book, it's going to ask you what your name is, so I can double check. Okay, so before we get started, I need to tell you about this dream, because in one of the videos, I think it was the Dark Night video, it was talking about all these dreams I had, and this one seriously makes me laugh, okay? This one's like, oh yeah, right, hold on a second. My turtle's back here. I did this for my aunt, so she loves turtles. But anyway, this dream I was having, I was walking around my hometown, okay, actually where I am right now. I was walking around my hometown, and Bob will be happy to know it was around midnight as well that I was walking around, and I couldn't find my way home, even though it was in my hometown. And I kept asking every single person along the way, how do I get home? And they would say, they'd give me the exact same directions. And I was getting frustrated. And then finally I realized, why is it everyone's giving me the same directions and I keep saying, no, that's not right? And I realized that was during my dark night, that like everybody was telling me the same thing to do to get through this dark night. And I just kept going, no, you don't understand what you're talking about. But I was the one asking them. So that's how dreams kind of work. You really have to zone in on what the meaning of them is, and it really has nothing to do with your physical life. It has more to do with your spiritual life, because the other side, that's how they can get to us, is through dreams. But anyway, that's how it got to me when they started talking about it. Today we're going to break down this judgment blame thing in a very specific way. I always say be positive, be positive. But in the last 2 weeks, I have had some very interesting interactions and discussions about something called PTSD. And I will admit that I have PTSD as well. So, and I handle it much different now than I did 2 years ago because, and I'll explain why. Okay? So, first we need to get to our prayer before I get too far ahead. My sage won't stay lit, and you know why my sage won't stay lit is because the more your sage like smokes, that means the more clearing you have to do in your house, and my sage literally will just like smoke a little and go. So this must be a pretty clear house. I will tell you though, I do see a guy walking around every once in a while. But okay, so let's do our prayer. Everyone close your eyes. At the end of the prayer, I'm going to ask you to ask for something for yourself inside your head, and then ask the other side to help you, okay? Thank you, Divine Source, for this time together. We welcome you in the love, light, acceptance, forgiveness, and friendship. We ask the guides to have the positive interactions and forgiveness that needs to happen in order to continue to move along our highest and best lives. We ask our guides, the Brotherhood of the White Light Council, angels, loved ones on spirit on the other side, and master teachers to be with us during this transformative assist. Please listen to the silent prayers now of all of those who are listening to this and help them with all of their struggles. And so it is. Amen. Okay. So I do have 2 readings. Let's do those first, and then I'm going to jump into this whole the PTSD thing because I think it's important for everyone to know how PTSD has, and all like mental issues, how they have a connection to spirituality and making our lives the best they can, because there's a huge connection between it, and it's just a matter of we have to understand it. All right. So I have April Michelle, my first thought when I read your question, and this is just me being cynical, was why is a therapist telling you to do anything? Because a therapist shouldn't really tell you to do things. And then I found out what your number was, and I went, I understand now. So you're a number 3, a life path 3, and your first vowel of the name is an A, which has some control aspects to it. I'm a 3, by the way. So as a 3, we tend to look at things that we don't like, and we change them in our head. Like, oh, that's not that way, but it's this way. Okay? So as a 3, it's like kind of like you take a paintbrush and you paint over life, and then you say, oh, this is what I want, and you'll kind of, scratch it all in what you want to happen. That's what 3s do. That's what we do. It's taken me a very long time to actually accept what is, even if I don't like it. All right? So I'm thinking that your therapist said something to you along the lines of having to move, because that therapist knew the only way to get to you was to be blunt and direct. Okay? And so understand that about yourself. All right? So as all the videos were going, I was tapping into your other side. And the words "be careful" came up. It feels to me kind of like there's strings coming off of you, like there's strings, and it's coming from all directions, like your therapist, your mom, your friends. It's like you're getting pulled in all different directions, and you don't know what the right thing is to do, when really you do know what the right thing is to do. You're just afraid to make that choice. Okay? So there's an element of control, that you should have the control, but you don't, because this element of a 3 is coming into your life. And as a 3, you are just the center of attention. You love communication. At your highest, most positive point, you thrive on making other people happy and joyous. When you're very negative, you tend to kind of sink into yourself as like a shrinking violet kind of thing. and I'm going to move this just so I can see if she's answering me at all. April, do you have a grandfather who was passed? And he was very, very, I want to use the word burly, but very direct, very, like, people listen to him is what I'm saying. Is there a grandfather that sounds like that to you, Apple? Hey, Christine. Apple, I just called you Apple. I mean April. So this grandfather had come in. It could be a grandfather figure. It's definitely an older man. Burly. I get like this Paul Bunyan feeling from him. I'm wondering if he's a guide. Hold on. Nope, I get the sense that you knew him. Okay, yeah, I get the sense that you knew him. I think this person is, you knew him in life, but he is now acting as one of your guides because he sees it. He's telling me there's a mix-up. There's something going on. And what he visualized for me was this triangle, and you were at the top, and there's your mom and your husband. All right. And in psychology world, that's called triangulation. And what he directly said to me was that you feel like you're not living your authentic life, and you're not. And my only grandmother, hold on, but I reckon he makes it beans right. Yeah, he does. I'm telling you, he's like this burly guy. He says that things going on with your mom that you don't realize are, and that would make sense if it is your mom's dad. There's a lot going on with your mom that you don't realize, and the fact that she wants to come along with you tells me that she has some, how do I say this? Like there's an emptiness inside of her if you're not with her. So that's why she wants to move with you. So he says to me specifically, leave her behind. She has some issues. All right. And I want you to understand, April, that it is not your job to solve her problems. Okay. You need to start living your own life. Loud and clear, that's what's coming through. You need to start living your own life. And it may be difficult for you to leave knowing that she wants to go with, or knowing all of that. But you need to live your own life, and you need to be happy. Okay? If you understand what I'm saying there. You are not at all close to happy right now. And it's this sticky, dark feeling I have. And when I get that sticky, dark feeling, that means to me that you're so engrossed in other people's issues that you can't let yourself out. Okay. Yeah. Have you heard of the narcissistic parent, April? Look that up. You want to look up the child of a narcissist. This is what I'm hearing from this. This is what the entire thing is showing me. Okay. Stick around. Let me know if you have any other questions. Okay. Hey, everybody who just joined. We have a couple of things going on. If you're a new subscriber, you hit subscribe, and then you can put in the chat box subscribed, and then you can have a session with me for $25 rather than $100 for half an hour. I'm also holding a mystery box contest. So anybody who comes in this chat between 12 o'clock and 12:30, Bob's going to write your name down, and then we're going to choose somebody right before we're done at 1 o'clock. And that person will get a mystery box worth $100 with some merch that's coming out, a letter from me, and some other spirituality things that are pretty neat that I use. Okay? All right. The next one is Tamisha. Okay. I saw this too, Tamisha, and we've been talking a long time about your life. And I did your cards, and honestly, they fell right out of my hand. So what I see here is everything is flipped. Like literally everything is flipped except 2 cards. So if I would, let me just quick do this in 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So when things are flipped, That means you're on the negative side of it. And the major idea that came from this was the fact that you've worked really hard in your life to get something done, like really hard. And there are other people who want to take credit for it or want to direct you in a way of kind of taking credit for you, if that makes sense. And but I still, and I've said this to you before, was that I don't feel that you're in the right career path for you. I think it's easy. I think it's easy for you. It wouldn't be for you to me. I think it's easy for you, and your family expects it of you, but I don't think it's the one that you actually want to do. And that's where you're getting stuck, is that, duty, this is the Queen of England again, duty versus the crown versus the family. So what have we learned from this miniseries, The Crown? That, she constantly has to choose between the crown and her family. And what happens when she doesn't choose her family? What happens when she chooses the crown? And in your case, the crown would be your family. The other part of you would be what you want to do. And I think you need to give that some deep thought about what you want to do with your life. Okay? I see a bright future for you. I do. I really see a bright future for you if you can get up the gumption to say, I want to do this instead of this. Okay? So when you say you're stuck in life, that's what's happening. Okay? Is because you're stuck. Because the rule is, everybody listen up, the rule is that if you feel stuck in life, that's because you're climbing a mountain that you don't need to climb. There's a road at the bottom of the mountain that you can just go around and walk very nicely around. But you have to get the courage to go back down, get on the road, and do it the way you want to do it. Okay, does everybody understand that? Whenever anything's difficult, what you need to do is think, is this the direction I'm supposed to be going? Simple. Okay? All right. I got that one done, and I got that one done. Let's talk about real quick. I want to talk about this PTSD and how it comes into spirituality. And again, I'm going to tell you, I have. I don't even consider that I have it anymore, honestly. So, for those of you who don't know, PTSD is post-traumatic stress, syndrome, but disorder. And a lot of soldiers have it because they see a lot of things. A lot of people who are abused have it. I would be one of those people. And what happens with this is that there's a lot of judgment and blame going on. And to live a happy life, highest, best life, is you have to let go of that judgment and blame. And the reason is, we can't live on a high vibration if we're judging people, if we're blaming people. Because the truth is, you're only a victim when you're being victimized. I'm not saying there aren't any victims. I know there's people out there who say there aren't any victims. I don't believe that at all. You are a victim when you are being victimized right then. When it stops, you have a period of time of healing when you still can be a victim. But after a certain amount of time, you're keeping yourself in that victim state. And it's only you doing it. And I realized that. I was abused 25 years ago-ish, and it was still affecting me up until 2-3 years ago. And I kept thinking, why am I still bothered by this when it hasn't happened? And it's because I had to realize that I was no longer in that state. Okay, I talk about the victim box a lot. If you guys know what the victim box is, on one of my videos, I think it's called what is karma or something. But when we get scared in life, we jump into this victim box because we think this box, okay, on the side of the road of life is going to protect us. But really what the box says on the outside is anybody inside this box needs to get kicked. The box needs to get kicked. It needs to get hurt because that's why they're in there. But we don't know that. We think it's protecting us. And the reason that we don't want to get out of it is because we think life's going to continue to hurt us. It's this whole psychological thing that when we realize that we can climb out of the box and life is actually okay, because it's safe, we can trust. You need to trust in the universe. in source energy, in your guides. Find people in your life you can trust. And I know that's hard sometimes. I know it's hard. But it is a lot easier after you get out of this victim box to walk down the road and realize I can actually do my life now, because I don't have to think about that. I don't have to think about that anymore, because trust me, the universe has a much better justice system than anything on this planet. So if you hang on to that, I mean, I really could have gone after the people who basically trafficked me, and they were my family members. And I still could, because there's so many. You have like 50 years after discovery, right? In my state anyway. And I refused to go through it again, because I would have to go through all that testimony and the memories and all of that. And I don't want to do that, right? You know, because it happened so long ago. Now, those of you who choose to do it, that's fine, that's great. But remember, you're going to do this when you're done. You rub your hands together, get the ball, okay? And you put all all the bad energy after you've been testifying. Go like this. And then you just throw it up in the air. And all of it's gone. Okay? You don't want to keep that around. Because anytime you're blaming somebody for something, you are holding yourself back from being on your highest and best life path. I don't know if I had an experience, but I heard of somebody last week who, I'm very sorry. I heard of somebody last week who has been in this PTSD cycle for almost 20 years. And it's like she went into this catatonic state of, you know, everybody else is to blame and I'm not doing anything wrong. You know, it's his fault, it's her fault, it's his fault, it's her fault. What is that gaining her? Other than having a partner who enables her. What is that gaining her? Nothing. It's keeping her stuck in the place where she was when she was victimized. And who wants to stay there, right? I want you to ask me questions about this, because I know it's really, I know it's probably shattering to hear me say this, but I just recently started sort of traditional therapy, but traditional therapy kind of keeps us as a victim. You know, they want to keep us talking about it and everything, and that's not what we need. What we need is a way out, right? We need a way out to live our lives happily, right? Okay. Let's go back to questions. Okay. Kushi Malik. All right. And yeah, I probably mispronounced your name. I'm really sorry. They're telling me I mispronounced your name. I'm sorry. Okay, so you're a 4. Okay. When will I be in a relationship? I'm single. Okay, that makes sense that you're a 4 and you're asking me this question. And by the way, I don't have my glasses. That's why I'm squinting. Okay. So hopefully everyone pray that they show up soon. Okay. So you're a 4, which means you're very stable. You need to know the truth about everything, which is why you're asking me when you'll be in a relationship. Okay, so what I'm seeing right now is you need to loosen up. You just need to let it go. And as soon as the minute you let go worrying about you being single, you won't be single anymore. Okay? It's what I always tell, like, girls I talk to, teenage girls in their 20s, that whenever you have, you have a type of a person you want to date, as soon as you find somebody who's not that kind of person, that's the person you're going to marry. So this is kind of the same contract here, is that you need to let go of when am I going to be in a relationship and just be on the best you that you can be. Because you're very, I just get the sense that you're very true blue. You're very straight and narrow. This is, and it's kind of like, do you have a plan for your life? Like, have you planned out your life where it's like on paper, like this is what I want to do in my life? Like, because that's what I'm seeing. Thanks, April. I'll pay for my glasses. What I'm seeing is that you actually have this plan for your life, and it's not coming out the way you think it's going to be. And let me tell you this. Okay, so The Secret was a great book. It taught us all how to do vision boards, but it missed first 2/3 of the manifestation. It skipped right to material possessions, and you can't get material possessions or love without starting with the first or second part of manifestation and the law of attraction. So we're all skipping it. The first thing you need to do is manifest the love for yourself, and that's who you're going to attract. Okay? Yes, you've planned. Yes. Understand that when you plan, that's like game on, game on. Okay? You work on yourself. You work on loving yourself, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, and you have questioned that before. There is nothing wrong with you at all. Okay? You just need to walk your path in life, be as happy and positive as you can, and you will attract that person that you're seeking. Let me know if you have any other questions. All right, Christine Matthews. Ooh, subscribed. Thank you. 31. You know, the computer's not even that far away from me, and I'm like, okay. Everything looks good to be true. I'm just waiting for something bad to happen. Ooh, okay. And I'm saying ooh because you're going to make that happen. Okay. You're welcome. All right, so 4, 10, 10. Okay, 6. Okay. So 6s are very nurturing. They love animals. They're very good with kids if they're on the positive path. Actually, 6s almost prefer animals than working with people, because animals don't talk back, and animals are always very loving. And I am highlighting that because I'm seeing that for you. Why am I seeing goats? Is there something with goats, Christine? Something? Okay. You started a new job. When I said you're just waiting for something bad to happen, what's going to happen there is something bad's going to happen. You know, you're making that happen. And yeah, when you say due to past trauma from other jobs, this is kind of the same thing as I was just talking about with PTSD, is when people hold on to that like old relationship and that's what happened, they attract a new relationship that is exactly like that. It's the same thing with a job. So what you need to do is, and I can't tell you what's going to happen because everybody needs to know this. Nobody's ever going to tell you what's going to happen because timelines shift. Everyone makes choices. Okay. So I can't tell you what's going to happen. What I can tell you is if you choose to be more positive about this job, and anytime you think of something that's going to happen, you push it out of your mind, this job will be much better than any other job that you've had. Now, if you end up not staying there, that is only a sign that you're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be somewhere else. Okay? And remember what I just said about the mountain. If it feels like you're climbing a mountain, then you don't climb it. You go look for the road at the bottom of the mountain, the base of the mountain. All right? Christine, cats? Maybe they're giving me the symbol of the goats. No, I swear to God, I'm seeing like a pack of goats. I was going to ask if you worked on a farm because I've never seen goats before. Just keep an eye out for the goat thing. Okay. No. They're telling me that's your animal symbol right now. Our animal totems can change. So if you think about what a goat is, it's kind of stubborn. It's kind of aggressive if it doesn't like what's happening. So think about the areas of your life where that fits in. Okay? I remember when I lived on a farm, we had a goat, and it chased us up the sliding board, my brother and I, and we couldn't get down. And then my grandfather came to get us down, and he bent over, and the goat really nailed him right in the rear end. Funniest thing I ever saw. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions or clarifications. Okay, Christine, I really do think that you can make this really, really a good experience for you. And if it's not a good experience, remember, then you're not supposed to be there. Simple, 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 okay? All right, I'm going to go to Lotus. Siren, okay. Messages from Spirit, okay. Lotus, is that your real name, or is that a nickname? Let me just do this one more time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry about if your symbol's a goat or not, Christine. Okay. Because I'll tell you what my symbol was before I went through the spiritual awakening. I was a rat in the sewer. So it kind of just, what they do is they show you, they mirror how you're living life. Okay. So when you start being more positive, your animal totem's going to change. So my animal totem changed into a whale, which is pretty significant. Lotus, the reason I'm asking, okay, good, thank you. The reason I was asking if that was your real name is because Spirit was telling me it was not your real name, and I need to know your first name just to look at the first letter of the first vowel, okay? They're telling me you're hiding who you are. And I know that just fits in with the whole name thing, but very, very status-wise, like you're very much needing to look a certain way in order, and it makes you happy. But I'm not sure that it has the effect on other people that you think it has the effect on. Does this make sense to you, Lotus? And you're a 3, which also means that you change. You do. You're the center of attention, and you change things the way you want them to be. Is there an ant? Is there an ant that passed away? Okay, so it was either an ant. So when I look at this, here's you. Okay, and here's your parents and all of their siblings and friends, and above that would be their grandparents. I'm seeing this woman come through, and it would be like an aunt or a friend of your mother's. And she's telling me what a cute child you were. She must have passed away pretty long ago. She keeps saying to me, know who you are. Know who you are. Okay, your aunt did pass away. Okay. She keeps saying to me, know who you are and not who they want you to be. Like, I really do see you in some sort of entertainment. And don't take this the wrong way, but I see Britney Spears, and that's my symbol for entertainment. God love Britney. So there's something, but it's not being recognized by your family as like important, and you're stuffing it. Okay. There's somebody here. I can actually hear them with my ears. I'm alone in my house, and I'm trying to hear what they're saying. It's 2 men. When I get more information, I'll let you know. Okay? All right, Lotus, I hope that made sense to you, because it's really important. If you keep going with your life, the way it is, you're not going to end up being happy. Yeah, I'm an introvert too. You think you'd know that? It's okay to be an introvert. It doesn't matter if you're an introvert and you can still be an entertainer. There's something about art, entertainment, that you have a very good gift for, but you're ignoring it, or the family hasn't seen it. Hey, yes, you may ask. Just put your date of birth in and your question, and as long as that's your real name, I can take that too. Lotus, let me know if there's a different way I can go about, if you have one more question, because you asked for a general reading. I just want to know if you have any other specific questions about this, okay? All right. Let's see here. All right. So remember, today is a special day. If you are a new person and you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and click subscribed, type it into the chat box, and then you will be put in for today's last minute. You'll be put in for the $100 mystery box that I will send to you, that has a letter from me to you, plus all kinds of cool gear like this, and spirituality stuff, like tarot cards, things like that. Okay? If you are a new subscriber too, you can also book with me. The link is at the top in the banner, and you get 75% off to have a half an hour session with me. Okay? So go ahead. While I'm waiting for more questions, you go ahead and put your question in. You can say at your date of birth, the date of birth, and your specific question, and your real first name. I just need your first name. Okay. Oh, those men were definitely for you, Lotus. Definitely for you. Because they're gone now. Okay. So I can get a career reading. Yeah, you can get a career reading if you want to schedule one with me. Do you have an artist side? I'm being told loud and clear that you have an artist side, that there is something going on that, again, there's so many people that come to me that are like, I've been told I need to do this, but it doesn't feel like me. Okay? Remember to hit that like button too, please, because it tells YouTube that you like me and you want to keep me around, because YouTube's kind of finicky like that. Now, I'm going to get back to this PTSD thing just for a little bit until we get some more questions. So in that Dark Knight video that I had played before this whole thing happened, the Dark Knight video explains that we can't move forward in our highest and best life, highest and best self, if we're holding any kind of negative feelings towards anybody. Okay? So that includes blame, that includes fear, that includes anxiety. So when we go and we think about our life, and what gives you butterflies in your stomach, what makes you anxious, those are the things that you need to clear up first. And this is what I do with my clients, is that I identify their karmic patterns. And if you want to know what a karmic pattern is, you can just put it in the chat box, I'll explain it. So you need to make sure that you are on it's not even a high or a low, it's just an even keel, that you're okay with everybody. So myself, my experience with PTSD is the fact that when you get triggered, okay, and that's the pop culture word, triggered, it's really called stimuli. You've experienced stimuli that it recognizes like it did before. You go back to that spot, and then you start blaming or saying, why me, and why did this happen to me, and that sort of thing. Understand that everything that happens in our life, even the real bad stuff, is actually the most important stuff, because we learn our biggest lessons from the most important stuff, from the most challenging things. So if we get stuck in this cycle of PTSD, and like I said, there was this woman I knew who's been stuck in it for 20 years, you really do need to go get some help psychologically. And then where I come in for spiritual is I identify your karma. And if you work in tandem between spirituality and with traditional therapy, that's really where you want to hit. Okay? Yeah, I got that one, Bob. Okay. Lotus, I hear people talking like literally all the time, and I always yell at them because I'm like, if you're going to talk to me, at least let me hear it, okay? But what I was hearing was like, okay? If I would go and interact with them, I would be able to hear what it was saying. But there were two men, and it was like they were having this conversation, and it definitely had to do with you because they went away as soon as we stopped talking. All right. Where was I? PTSD. Yeah, and no, I'm sorry. I don't know what they were trying to say. It definitely had to do with you because it was like very animated. But if you book with me, I will definitely ask for them to come back and see what I can find out from them. My booking link is at the top of the banner. You can go ahead and go to the top of the banner and hit that. Make sure you subscribe and like here. So tell me, does anybody have experiences with things that were troubling to them, struggling, and it just feels like it happens over and over and over again? Tell me if you have that experience. I've had that experience where it's like, I don't understand why this keeps happening to me. And there's a reason for that. But I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. In 1 second. Ooh, I gotta turn this light off. For those of you that don't know, I've been sick for a couple months. And I'm finally starting to get back into things. And just lights and things bother me. Okay, so let's see. We have April. Who else do we have here? Kush. Christine. Nope, I missed. Lotus. I forget who I missed. Okay. I'm going to type the question here and you guys tell me, okay? So my story here about things that keep happening over and over again is that I have no family and my friends are very scarce because abandonment is a huge thing. Oh, you're welcome. Is a huge karmic pattern in my life. And karmic patterns are things that we bring in from past lives, and they come in through our DNA, through our body. All right. So I came in, this woman who did my reading, she's like, Stacey, you like came in singing, love me, hurt me, abandon me, and reject me. And I'm like, that's pretty true. That's pretty much what's happened all the way up until today. And she's like, you just need to keep clearing it. And this is what I do with clients, is I identify what your karmic patterns are. And when you start clearing them and you start looking at things from different perspectives, you change the way you live your life, and you live it much more happy. Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's hard not to, Christine, it's hard to not go in that box, because we look at that box on the side of the road as protection. We really do. When really what it's doing is enabling us. It's enabling us to stay victims. And I'm not taking anything away if it happened to anybody at all, because it is valid. It's what happened to me was valid. What happened to you was valid. What happened to other people, valid. But we have to consider, how much are we keeping ourselves in that state? Okay, because we cannot, and this is the other big thing I say to people, is we cannot live our life giving those people the power over us still. So PTSD, to me, in my opinion, is us giving power to the people who harmed us, and we haven't realized that we can take it back. So if that makes sense to you, well, it doesn't really have to make sense yet. It will make sense to you. PTSD is a really big thing, and the thing is, the reason it is so big is because it's just a label, and the doctors don't really know what to do with it, do they? They don't really know, how to solve it or how, and it's because they're keeping us victims and they're not allowing us to go, I'm taking my power back and I'm not ever going back there again. And that is what needs to happen. They will send you back. Yeah. And what will happen, Christine, is when you asked your question before and you said about how things are going to go bad again, I can kind of see where it's connecting together. You're so funny. My symbol's a goat. Yeah, when you're saying everything looks too good to be true. Okay, so when it looks too good to be true, what do people always say? It probably is. No, you just go with it. You go in with your largest, your best intentions, your positive intentions, and if it doesn't work out, what do I say? Then it doesn't work out, and you move on. I think a lot of us, Lois, have become a lot more introvert in the last year and a half, and honestly, this isolation it has not bothered me at all, because I'm cool with not having to see people. Because you know why? Do you know why? It's because when I go into, I remember I was at this Dave Matthews Band concert like years ago, and like this is before I knew anything was going on empathically or psychically or anything. And I was soaking all of that in, like all of their energy, and I got so sick. I mean, I remember the doctors being like, telling my mom, like, she was the only one who was brought in that wasn't doing drugs. And I'm like, thanks. So being an introvert's not a bad thing, because unless you protect yourself from getting everybody else's stuff, it can be a little dodgy sometimes. Let me look, make sure I did not miss anything. This is why I need another monitor, Bob. Yeah, same way. Yeah, I mean, I don't need a lot of people around me to, like, tell me that I'm okay or validated or anything. Yeah, April, that really is what we collectively, all of us on this live stream, we tend to be more introverted, because it just feels better, and probably some of you are empathic. If I would be able to zone in on you. Ooh, that reminds me. So I'm starting to do light one-to-one support with people probably in September. And when I mean light, it's not going to be, I do pretty heavy support with people, but just because of my health, in September, I'm going to start doing light support. So if you're interested in that, you can email me. Bob can put my email in there. And email me and I can tell you all about it. Basically, in a nutshell, what I do with people is I identify their karmic patterns, and then I have them continue journaling with me. It's a double entry journal on the Google Drive, and I can identify what they're doing in their life that is connected to that pattern, and then help them kind of untwine it. And the difference it's made in people is astonishing. Really, it really is. Yeah. April, cool. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to say Lotus is probably an empath as well, too. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying about a goat. So I honestly think goats are kind of cute. I know that, like, people, I love goats, okay? They're stubborn. They're cute. They do ram after things when they feel threatened. So, and that's what was just said to me. So Christine, that might be what's going on here, is when you feel threatened, it's kind of like, I'm going to blow up this bridge because I feel threatened, so I just don't have to go back. Christine, were you the one asking me about your mom? No. Why are they asking me about your mom? I could look up. Yeah, if you are working as a healthcare worker and you are an empath, you definitely need to do psychic self-defense, which I will show you in 1 minute. Christine, I want to look at your original question. Hold on. Why are they asking me about your mom? No to what? Right, that's why I was checking. But Christine, they're asking me about your mom. Did you feel that she was not as loving as you wanted her to be at certain times? I can get back to that later, Christine, because I feel like it's not something you really want to talk about. So it's okay. It's fine. So when we talk about psychic self-defense, what I want you all to do is wake up in the morning and, you do your whole routine. You brush your teeth, you get showered, you get dressed. When you do your self-defense, you ask your guides, you literally ask your guides, if you could please put a golden bubble around you and keep all your positivity in and keep everybody else's junk off of you. Okay? And that will make a huge difference in your life. Huge difference. And if you were listening, I don't know what order those videos were played in, but if you were listening, I actually just raised my hands up one time and I was like, all right, guys, I don't know what to do. I'm going to follow your advice. You just tell me what to do. And like 3 hours later, one time my husband's like, why don't we move to the Caribbean? And I'm like, are you nuts? Okay. Yeah, telling you to get over it. Yeah. She's what I call a flying monkey. So there's a difference between getting through it and getting over it. Okay? So it doesn't matter with our PTSD if you ever, because you're not going to understand it. You're not going to understand why things happen. There is no answer to some of these questions. And that has to be okay. All right? So I think she's trying to help you. She's very staunch. She reminds me of my grandmother, very staunch German. Like, she's got to move on with life. But there's a difference between getting over it and getting through it. Getting over it means that you still have it with you, but you're just kind of pulling it along like a boulder. Okay? If you get through it, that means you've worked through it. And when you come out the other side, there's nothing to hold on to. All right. Bob, I'm getting a bit tired, so I'm going to stop now. Can you pull the name of somebody who's going to win that box? I'm sorry, everybody. I have to sleep when I have to sleep. Okay. Thank you for sticking around. Let's see who won the mystery box. If you are a new subscriber, go ahead and book with me. 75% off. Make sure that you hit the like button and the subscribe button on here. I try to go live a couple times a week. At least I was going live a couple times a week. I'm realizing he's probably doing this and I don't have. There we go. And I'm trying to get back to doing videos like you saw before. Maybe I'll do April Michelle. April, just saw your question. And then Bob, make sure you pull one of the names out who have been here between 12:30 and 12 and 12:30. Okay, April, I've been having to go back to my family and I really want freedom and to be independent, right? So I cycle thinking, why does this all happen all the time? Because you are a people pleaser and you have this sense of duty where you have to go and do your duty over yourself. Bob can tell you about that because that's Bob's pattern too. Where it's like you're not supposed to, Bob, I'm going to steal all the stuff I tell you, okay? You're not supposed to fix things, and your family expects you to fix things, April. You're not supposed to fix things, all right? What am I saying over here? So the reason you keep going back is because you have this pattern of a sense of duty. Oh, thank you. I am getting better. Thank you. Every week I feel a little bit better. So your karmic pattern, April, would be a sense of duty. And you don't feel, I want you to clarify this, ready, okay? Clarify this for me, April, okay? You don't feel like an actual like person unless you're helping somebody else, like your family. Like there's nothing in there. And you were the one I was talking about, the narcissistic, right? That's totally, you need to get this book. It's actually a really good book, but the title's hilarious. It's called You're Not Crazy, It's Your Mother. Okay? It was a really good book. The other one is called Shadow Daughter. Okay? Bob, do you have that name for me yet? I can actually yell for him. He's not down the hall this time. It's funny because usually I'm yelling down the hall. He's just right down there. Okay. All right. So... All right, so Bob just told me April won the mystery box. So April, what I want you to do is, Bob's, I can put my email address in here. What I want you to do is email me your address, and I will send you a mystery box within a week or so. Okay? It's all going to have kind of cool stuff in it, all about spirituality, things that I found helpful. If you want to make any kind of appointment with me, go ahead. I do have a Facebook page. It's a Facebook group. It's called The Key. So go ahead and you have to answer the questions, though. We can't let you in. Okay? I've had some stalker issues. So we have to have questions. Okay? I'll put them in here, the books. One's You Are Not Crazy, It's Your Mother. And the other one is The Shadow Daughter. I had a mother just like this. And they're not fun at all to have a mother who kind of just undermines you at every turn. So, all right, I'm going to get going. Thank you so much for being here. I will be here next Sunday again at noon. And if you have any requests of what you'd like to talk about, just go ahead and message me. On Instagram, Facebook, you can email me, whatever you want to do, okay? You guys remember to take care of yourselves today and be kind to yourself for the rest of the week. See you later.